Hello, welcome back to Domains. Death Domain, specifically. I'm Kalvin. I already screwed it all up. Towie World.
This is Bastions and Basilisks.
That's true, it is, but it says it right there.
And I am Brandon. I hope you're still recording.
Of course I am.
Okay. We're just gonna roll through this.
You make some assumption that I'm embarrassed by how ridiculous I am.
We've had to start over.
Once or twice, but not
today. But
not
we're just gonna roll.
Not recently. I think once we got. Okay, so we're talking. Like I said, we're talking about the Death Domain today. I'm gonna remember to do. See, the thing with the Arcana domain is it had two little tables, so I was like, oh, this one only has the domain spells table. So I got a little confoodled last time. All right, so first level domain spells: False Life, Ray of Sickness. False Life is a solid spell.
Getting
especially it's worth. That's one of those things that it's worth taking, like the Eldritch Adept to be able to cast False Life at will. That's like one of those really good invocations. Ray of Sickness, solid. Third level, Blindness, Deafness, Ray of Enfeeblement. Fifth level, Animate Dead, Vampiric Touch. Animate Dead is okay. It's not as good as it was in older editions, but who's counting? I'm counting. Vampiric Touch is also solid. Damage, and you get, I think it's 10 hit points, which is the only kind of negative. Seventh level, Blight, Death Ward. Death Ward is a good fucking spell. I should try to swear less, but I don't care. Blight is also good. Ninth, Anti-Life Shell, and Cloud Kill. Solid spells. Fit the Death Domain.
Sounds a little on par for some reason.
Right? What? No way. So that's the thing I'm doing in my challenge, my EverQuest challenge run. Whenever I make a level, because it's like the shock of getting to a new level. It's what? No way. So I've done that like at least 100 times in the past 3 or 4 weeks because I've died many times, but I've gotten to like 30 or 40 or 50. So I've done it at least 100 times. Going, what? No way. And with usually with the Kevin McAllister. Bonus proficiency. See, I can back us. When you choose this domain at first level, you gain proficiency with martial weapons. It's all right. I mean, I think clerics normally get medium armor, so I think that's why some of them get, and simple weapons. So getting martial weapons is.
It's okay.
It is. It's a thing. It's not.
I'm glad there's a second thing on top of this.
Yeah, it's only because there's a second thing. If that was all they got, I would be angry. And then the other thing they get is Reaper. At first level, you learn one necromancy cantrip of your choice from any spell list. When you cast a necromancy cantrip that normally targets only one creature, the spell can instead target 2 creatures within range and within 5 feet of each other.
I actually think that's really good.
Chill Touch, which is funny that Chill Touch does necrotic damage and is ranged, so it's neither chill nor touch. I think Toll the Dead, I believe, is necromancy.
I believe so.
So it's one of those like, and it doesn't say that when you cast. It's not when you cast this necromancy cantrip. It's when you cast a necromancy cantrip. So if you have multiple, that means you can target. So it's not like if you pick Toll the Dead, that's the only one that you can target multiple with.
So I'm going to look something up real quick. It's a ritual.
These nuts?
What? And it's a level 2. Never mind.
What?
I was like, could theoretically, because I thought Gentle Repose was a cantrip. I was like, could that theoretically
that would be the same way? That would be too, not too, well, yeah, no, that would be too powerful as a cantrip. I mean, it's already a ritual, so it's arguably still infinite use, but at least takes 10 minutes. I love Gentle Repose. It's really the part of Gentle Repose that makes it so that the person can't be turned into an undead for those 10 days. Because I think somebody pointed out, if we're fighting a vampire, you get drained and killed. If I cast Gentle Repose on you, the next night, what normally would trigger is you become a vampire spawn, but because of Gentle Repose,
you do not.
It doesn't happen, which means it specifies the next night. So once the gentle repose is over, on the 11th night, you don't turn suddenly into a vampire spawn. Essentially, the vampiric infection
is gone.
Dissipated. So the bonus proficiency is all right. It's martial. If you're going for a martial build, like, there's a lot of good martial weapons, and especially with their level 8 ability, it makes some sense. So if you want to do a two-handed, like you want to great sword it up, or pole arm, get some reach. Depends on what you're doing. Unfortunately, scythes are not a weapon in 5th edition D&D, which is the greatest tragedy in the history of D&D. And I've played 4th edition. I love 4th edition though, so I don't consider that a tragedy. It's fine. It's not great. It's not spectacular, but it's also not terrible. It's middle of the road. You get a proficiency. Huzzah. Reaper is solid because it gives you, because you get a new cantrip, you get a second cantrip, or you get another cantrip, which is always a bonus, and something on top of that. So you're probably gonna, at that point, you're like I said, gentle repose, or not gentle repose. That's not a cantrip. It's a ritual, and it's 2nd level. We've established the canonicity of this conversation. Toll the Dead, and Chill Touch. If you take those two, then now from a range, you can do this. Or if you're targeting something that doesn't have a will, you have 2 people near each other. Like, it gives you some options, because I think Acid Splash targets 2 people. So it's kind of nice that, because you could also take Acid Splash theoretically. Maybe. I don't know if that's a cleric spell. But I don't know. It's cool. I didn't even think of that. Acid Splash with Arcana Domain. Now you're doing your potency. You hit 2 people, and now they're taking a D6 or whatever each plus your wisdom. But no, Reaper's solid. Like I said, free additional cantrip, which more cantrips is never a bad thing, because it's an infinite ammunition. Like, it's a.
I really enjoy this for a 1st level, because for it being 1st level ability that you get, it automatically, in my opinion, puts you above several things that we have already discussed from past classes. So I think it's solid. Like, it's decent. You get, like you said, a free cantrip that you get to include an additional creature within 5 feet of said creature. Like,
yeah,
dude,
that's the cool thing about clerics, is that they get their domain right out the gate, which makes sense.
yeah.
The whole thing about being a cleric is, but arguably wizards should also get theirs at 1st level, because you went to all that wizard school, so you've already picked your specialty. Or warlocks also get theirs at 1, which makes sense. Like, they just give them to, like, fighters. Like, you probably went through specific, like most classes, you went through specific training, and you're, plus you could retrain your subclass at any point, because nobody's an asshole like that. But no, Reaper's good. Like I said, bonus proficiency is all right. Reaper, you get a free cantrip, and any necromancy cantrips you do have can hit another person circumstantially. You get another free resource, infinite resource, and a bonus addendum to specific resources in specific situations. So I like Reaper. I mean, it's also cool because it's Reaper. It's a cool name. Solid. Channel Divinity, Judge of Death. Ooh, saucy. Starting at 2nd level, you can use what? Fuck Deadpool. You can use Channel Divinity to destroy another creature's life force by touch. When you hit a creature with a melee attack, you can use Channel Divinity to deal extra necrotic damage to the target. The damage equals 5 plus twice your cleric level. Which makes sense why they got martial proficiency, because you can have better weapons. And it's Channel Divinity, which is a resource that you get it for once at 2nd level, and I think twice at 6, and then I think you get like 3 or 4 Channel Divinities per short rest, and like.
So you're saying at 20th level, you could do 45 additional damage?
Yeah,
using
necrotic damage.
Yeah, so you could, this is essentially utilizing a smite in a way for clerics.
Sort of.
Yeah, like in a way, like it's a roundabout close to it. It's like if it's like a Venn diagram, it's like smite and then this ability and then like that little section that they share.
I'm surprised you know what a Venn diagram is.
I'm not smart.
Smart. Um,
Uh,
Noise.
did I say it like that?
No, no, I said it's a
You
thing.
said that.
No, I've said it like that on purpose. It's a thing I've been sending my girlfriend. Anyway, it's good because it's because it's not a reaction either. It's not. It's when you hit a creature with a melee attack, which means unarmed strikes are melee attacks. Because it doesn't say melee weapon attack; it says melee attack.
Yeah.
So
if you miss,
yeah, it's not wasted. So yeah, it's not a resource. So you're right; it is like smite that you can use after you know that you've hit. You're doing. I mean, even at second level, that's 9 necrotic damage.
extra damage is usually
Extra
going to
damage is
hold.
extra damage, and like I said, and that's you get. I think at least 3 channel divinities per short rest. So you're talking about like I hit with touch of death and at the 20th level and I do 45 extra necrotic damage. Yeah, and then do it again next turn, and then do it again the turn after that, or you are like you're multi-classing like a loser. No, I'm just kidding. Just people who just stall are losers. Boo, boo, boo.
Don't have to worry about multi-class. You already got 2 classes.
Exactly.
Unless you want to multi-class even further.
Yeah.
You can do.
But I didn't even realize that was a viable option too, because then it'd be like a fighter with this.
I think you can only multi-class into one of those trees specifically. So you keep one up to level 20, the other one is multi-class however you want past that.
No, I don't. It's two characters, two characters effectively in one. See, I can multi-class both sides as many times as I want and be the
I
most
think just
bonkers.
specifically what I meant.
Although, anyway, we're not talking about Gestalt here.
Yeah.
But
its own video.
if you're taking like 3 levels of fighter, 2 levels of cleric, or I mean, the big thing is that this is not affected by crits, so you're not doing extra damage on a crit. I didn't even get into the 6th level one. Anyway, so it's if you multi-class, you're just meleeing, then you could just hit people with this a whole lot, and it's really good. There was a whole direction I was going to go, and then I forgot it. So inescapable destruction. I don't like the naming. I feel like the naming. This could be something better. 0 out of 10. Name could be better. Starting at 6th level, your ability to channel negative energy becomes more potent. Necrotic damage dealt by your cleric spells and channel divinity options ignores resistance to necrotic damage. So if you're fighting somebody that's resistant, you're like, suck it! Somebody's like, ha ha ha, I resisted. I'm like, no, you don't, bitch! Boom! Fully dead.
In my opinion, there's not a lot of abilities or spells that or feats that allow you to do it. So I think it's really, at least from the circles that I run in, I never really see it. So in my opinion, it is slept on. So seeing this, even at 6th level, like that doesn't sound
ignoring resistance is always good.
Yeah, I think it's really that's a solid.
It reminds me of what's it called? The Dogma movie, where he's like, "Yeah, hit me with that golf club. I'm a fucking demon." And then, if you haven't seen it, then that's slept on. I'm hip with the lingo.
When you said hit me with a golf club, I immediately thought of BioShock.
A man chooses, a slave obeys. No, in Dogma, essentially, they steal. I think they kill like the Pope or something, and they steal his golf clubs to go to they had a priest bless or no, it's anyway. So they're like, I think one of the characters is like, I'll hit you. He's like, fine, I'll give you a free shot. You can hit me, like because he's a demon, so he's immune to all damage. Essentially, he's like, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. And then they're like, okay, and somebody picks up. I think it's Jason Mewes' character.
So it is Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, Jay and Silent Bob. Well, because it's Kevin Smith
Yeah,
movies, so it's Kevin Smith. So Jay and Silent Bob are in all of their movies. So because Kevin Smith loves being in his own movies. Just kidding. I have no issue with Kevin Smith. He's better than Tarantino. I said it here. Because he doesn't pretend to be a pompous douchebag like Tarantino is. So he pulls out the golf club and smashes the demon with the golf club, and it like caves in the demon's chest. And he's like, "What the shit?" And essentially, like somebody's like, "Didn't you hear him?" He said, "I'm a fucking demon." And it's like if you think that the Pope or this specific deus or whatever didn't bless his golf clubs for a better game, you're stupid. Like, and so like essentially,
he didn't at some point prepare for a demonic.
No, that because the whole thing is essentially it's that kind of the capitalistic Christianity. So it's like if you think that he didn't bless his golf clubs to increase his game, to improve his score in golf, you're so naive.
You gotta watch this now.
I
want to know just like
it has Alan Rickman in it.
Oh, Dogma?
Yeah.
That's
one of my absolute. Persephone is my favorite.
We're getting off a weird tangent.
She's the muse?
Yeah, it's
Salma Hayek.
Yeah.
I cannot hear the song Candy Girl without thinking of that movie and Salma Hayek, if you know what I mean. Anyway.
I've never seen this.
I'm talking to your girlfriend.
I know. I'm describing.
I'll send you a video. She's like, oh, we're recording. You can show them after you're done recording. So in like 2 hours when we're done recording.
That's what I'm gonna put away. Jesus.
Just let me watch the movie after we're done.
We are.
Okay. Ignoring necrotic resistance. Ignoring resistance is great. Divine Strike. I've mentioned this before. I couldn't remember what it was called. Divine Strike. At 8th level, you gain the ability to infuse your weapon strikes with necrotic energy. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can cause the attack to deal 1d8 necrotic damage to the target. The wording is fucking stupid. To deal 1d8 necrotic damage. So they copied it poorly, or Wizards of the Coast are garbage and they wrote it terribly. When you reach 14th level, the extra damage increases to 2d8. Once again, it specifies when you hit with a weapon attack. So it's if you swing multiple times, you could choose when you crit, because this would work with a critical hit, whereas your Touch of Death does not, or it's not amplified by a critical hit, whereas this is just. But it does not. Your inescapable destruction does not apply to this because it's not spells or channel divinity. So you could channel divinity, and that necrotic damage ignores resistance, but your divine strike does not ignore resistance. Either way, being able to hit for extra damage, like I said, I think all of the cleric their domains have either divine strike or potent spellcasting, one or the other. And I like the consistency at least. So you're like, I'm 8th level. I either get this or that. And necrotic damage, decent. I mean, it's not, some of them get fire. We'll get to those. Improved Reaper. Starting at 17th level, when you cast a necromancy spell of 1st through 5th level that targets only one creature, the spell can instead target 2 creatures within range and within 5 feet of each other. If the spell consumes its material components, you must provide them for each target. See, I don't like this as much.
That is the first time I've ever seen something where where like an ability like this, where it forces you to have the material components for both. So that I find that interesting, and I agree. I don't like that either, but it is interesting to see that it requires you to do that.
Although, how it's worded, why did it come up twice? That's necromancy. How it's worded, when you cast necromancy spell of 1st through 5th level that targets only one creature, it does not. So the cool thing is, it's not saying only once. It's anytime you cast a necromancy spell, 1st through 5th, that targets only one. The spell can instead target 2. False Life is a necromancy spell. So you could cast False Life as a 5th level spell. So it's doing, 1d4 plus 24 temporary hit points for you and an ally. So you're improving your False Life. You're essentially improving some of the abilities of, right, I assume Ray of Sickness, Necromancy. Yeah, so you can hit 2 people with Ray of Sickness. Yeah, okay. I was like, that's crappy, but there's some solid blindness, deafness, probably Ray of Enfeeblement, Vampiric Touch. Hold on, Vampiric Touch. Holy fuck, Vampiric Touch. You cast Vampiric Touch. Okay, this is nasty now. You touch a shadow, read hand, force. Make a melee spell attack against a creature within your reach. On a hit, the target takes 3d6 necrotic damage, and you regain hit points equal to half the amount of necrotic damage dealt. Oh, see, this one you regain. Until the spell ends, you can make the attack again on each of your turns as an action. So you can use Vampiric Touch to target 2 people and heal. So you could accidentally tank, as long as you can keep the concentration. You could tank as a cleric because you're just like, because you're like, meh, meh, meh. And you cast his 5th level, then it's 5d6 per hit. Oh, yeah, no, that's strong. I was like, that's silly. That doesn't feel powerful.
You can, yeah, there are definitely ways that you can absolutely make this. I wouldn't say broken because like you have to require material components, but like you said, Vampiric Touch. I'm sure there's plenty of other things that you could use this with,
That's abjuration.
and absolutely just destroy things or benefit from
Also
it.
abjuration. I'm trying to look at them. Death Ward is abjuration. I was like, Death Ward? If Death Ward was necrotic,
This is definite, so it's got to be.
so you could target 2 people with that one. You can't. It's an abjuration, so it doesn't apply. Blight.
I said the wrong type.
Blight is No, I know. Blight is necromancy. Blight. You could target 2 people with blight. Yeah. Okay, I take it back. I was like, that's a stupid. But no, that's really good. It doubles your effectiveness of any necromancy spell cast at 1st through 5th level. Asterisk, assuming they're next to each other. But a lot of enemies are usually near each other, so you're like, blight on 2 people, Ray of Sickness on 2 people, whatever. That's good. I don't know if it's quite level 17, capstone powerful, but I mean, because I think one of the subclasses gets like Forge Domain gets immunity to fire at 17th level. So I don't know. They're not exactly balanced. The balancing them all is kind of difficult, but
yeah, I agree.
I think in certain circumstances, yeah, improved Reaper's strong because now you can cantrip 2 people, so you're essentially 0 to 5th level spells. But yeah, the negative is that if there's multiple components, material components, you have to use them. Yeah, no, I like Death Domain. Death Domain's a good domain.
I definitely seeing this because it's been ages since I've actually read anything dealing with the cleric. It makes me very interested in wanting to play it. I just would like to find a way that doesn't make it sound absolutely cringy, because I am full of cringe.
Well, okay, we're gonna just because I think it reminds me of a thing I saw. I think it was on Twitter where somebody's like, everybody thinks of a barbarian rage like grog, like frothing at the mouth, like. But but
it'd be like a zone in type of thing.
That's like a battle focus. That's what Chips used to do. Chips used to just like hyper focus, and now I'm combat, and now I'm raging. And now he just goes ape shit because he's died 17 times.
Wants to stay dead. No, he doesn't. He loves his lover too much.
He loves that stupid tabaxi too much. And his god wouldn't want him to. His god's like, no, shoo.
You please leave.
Could you go, please? You're returning to life. Nobody resurrected me, didn't they? Though.
Pretty sure they did. No, I don't think so. I'm sure they did.
I'm sure. Have you checked? Go check the phone. It just kicks
him. I resurrected
you. Just get right. Just go. My God brings me back to life because she doesn't want to deal with me so much. Which is saying something because pretty much all Tabaxi have died in my brother's world because he destroyed pretty much the entirety of Maztica. Um,
Ye-
with a giant acid hurricane. Um, there was this. I was tangenting. Oh, you could be. Well, it's the same thing anyway. It's like the barbarians are like usually it's frothing at the mouth or battle focus, but it's like you could be giddy because you
Yeah, like
I get to kill people,
I
or
imagine
sad
what
because of the carnage. You can just be like, I guess we're
it is
doing
up
this.
to your
Like
character.
it's right. It's some kind of strong emotion. It does not have to just be anger. So
I think it's just
it could be the same thing. It also depends on
like
on your perspective of death.
what's his face from Black Clover, the Lightning Kid in the Black Bulls.
Luck.
He's
Oh, I
always,
love luck.
yeah, he's
He's
always
psycho.
excited to fight. So it's like him. I thought of him when you said Giddy,
Right.
but I imagine like this guy. Like if I made a character along this, it's like I could come up with anything, and I obviously said I'm going to try to avoid being cringe because that's all I make. But Alvin knows. It would be interesting.
That's not true. Chim is great. I'm sad that you've only played him one session, but Chim is great. I love Chim. Chim is a sweetheart. Um,
Jim so far is like books. I
and
heard
and I
books.
don't think what's her name was
Bella.
I don't think Vela was cringe.
Yeah, I'm going out of like
A little. I don't think in any of the things that I've played with you, I don't think you've been a cringe. Either played or run for you, I don't think you've been cringe. I don't think you're as cringe as you think you are. I think is what I think.
I mostly reference my blood hunters that I play because I've purposely always
Yeah,
been
but
crit.
Blood Hunter's your favorite class, so like,
I just go balls deep into that one.
right. So anyway, but my point is, you could be a Barbie doll who loves death. You know, like pink. Like I have a Tabaxi Necromancer that I'm going to play in a game with Salem. That's going to be like, what's her name from Legally Blonde?
I just imagine
But
Barbie.
so she's a Tabaxi that dresses in like bright pink clothing, is very chipper, but is a necromancer. Like animates the dead and what like is obsessed with the dead and undead and like and all that. But she's a girly girl type of character.
I like
So
this.
like it's this. So you could be a death domain cleric, who, yeah, you could be like angsty. You don't have to be angsty. You could be. I
You can
played
do whatever.
technically one of my best accidental role playing sessions was with Thazar's grandfather when I played him 20 years ago, almost. Um, because my character I played in a third edition game, my true necromancer in a third edition game, who was a chosen of Velsharoon, who used to be the god of undeath. And then I went into Ravenloft, and I got stuck in Ravenloft, and then eventually I became one of the Dark Lords, and I escaped. And anyway, but that all of the going into Ravenloft past that is just canonical in my brother's game. I didn't play that. At some point, like people were talking about dying, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to die." Or so I was like, "Why? Death is only half." Or like death is life is only half of the journey. Death is the
Exactly.
other half. It's very much like death is the greatest adventure, like Hook from the Hook movie. Like it's the same thing. Like you could be there are so many directions you could go
It
if
is
you
literally up to the human mind
right.
on
So
what.
it's so you don't have to be because you see death and the necromancy and the death and it's death and there's dead things. You assume that like oh it's painting your fingernails black and wearing your hot topic trip pants and
I want to make a character like
but
what's.
there's a gif my friend sent me that like the goth raves where it's the goths like raving like
Oh yeah.
they're goths and they're all like angsty like they're not but, like being a goth is just like kind of accepting that death is a thing that happens and so it's
Imagine a character. Have you seen Bones?
the show
Yes.
yes like
I
oh
realize
like
how
the
open that.
like
I just what's her name?
like bones
Yeah.
from bones
Yes. Play a character that is Bones.
right so yeah it's I love how we sidetracked to the discussion of the subclass into role playing. But yeah, you could play it. That's the thing about all of the subclasses, though, is you could play it however you want. But like but you kind of brought this on yourself though, because you're like, oh, cringe. But who's
I do every time there's a cringe
but
related.
it's also like think about how I explained the god of death in my world. Like maybe you see it as your job to guide the spirits so that they don't have a lonely existence to the afterlife. Like, you're giving them last rites. You are a priest, giving type of thing. Like, you take no enjoyment in the fact that you have to kill people, but like you're trying to kill me, I'm gonna defend myself, but like I will make this as painless as possible. Like
it's really it's not like the Dread 3, like Bane, Mercule, and all of them in 5th edition. I don't know if they're how actively their lore goes, but they're not they purposely are looking to be worse and make things worse. Whereas, they take the title and they're like, I'm going to be the epitome of this,
they're
whereas
cringe. Yes, they are. That the first 5 levels of, well, 4 levels of Descent into Avernus has to deal with Baal, Bale, and Bane, or no, Baal, Bane, or Bale, Bane, and Merkel, I think.
Mercule. I call it Mercule.
Merkel.
But the reason why I brought that up is because
I think it's like Steve Merkel. Merkel.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah. Who got their domains from the god that Thazar is a devout follower of? Because
I didn't even recognize that.
Because you're god. If you read if you read in Sword Coast Adventures Guide about the gods, there's the whole like thing about like the Game of Bones or whatever it's called, and it's like how Yergol essentially gave up some of his portfolios, because in older editions portfolios mattered. But
Bones,
I don't remember, but like he gave up his because he didn't want to be a god anymore, and so
like he didn't want to deal with it.
So they shut up, and he's like they were coming to kill Yergol, and he's like, actually, this is pretty serendipitous because I don't want to do this shit anymore.
Yeah, and then
you guys compete, and then you'll fight or whatever, and then whoever wins can pick one. Like, first, second, third place, you get each of one of my portfolios each or whatever, and then the god of beasts tried competing or whatever, got cheated or somehow, I don't remember what it was. So they're bitter, but yeah, they're like a big part of the beginning of Descent into Avernus, which is my favorite module.
Heard.
I've never complained about it. It's perfect. Anyway, yeah, so you can play a cleric however you want, and it makes it more interesting if you are a bright pink, happy-go-lucky cleric of death. Like just because you worship the god of death doesn't mean you don't appreciate life. You understand that death is a necessity. Without death, life is meaningless, and vice versa.
And there's
with immortality gets boring eventually. There's no thrill to it because you're like, okay. So it's the whole thing. Like you appreciate life more because you understand the significance of death, and so you're just a chipper, happy-go-lucky person. So it's really, it's not. I hate the use of cringe, but yeah, it's not cringe. It can be cringe, and you'd be like, all right, it's the one that you're like, you're like, ugh, I worship the god of death. Ugh. Everybody dies someday. Gosh. So yeah, and people will be like, all right, fucking this guy, but it makes sense.
Napoleon Dynamite,
right? Like it's like an emo Napoleon Dynamite. Gosh, I've never even seen that movie.
I've seen like half of it every time I've watched it.
But
the first time,
only I fall asleep. Anyway, yeah. So look, accidental role playing advice. Be a more interesting cleric. Always have a heal spell though, because what dickhead doesn't have the option of healing as a cleric?
That's its own ramble that I have for that.
Yeah,
because we've already probably doubled this up based off of role play.
Wizards, no, we didn't. We only got like an extra 10 minutes out of it. Wizards are the only primary casting class that does not get a healing spell. So
right.
If I'm a wizard and anybody else is any other casting class, if you guys have to heal, I literally can't do it. So
out some special.
I instead am awesome. Anyway, so that's the Death Domain Cleric. I hope you enjoyed the not tangent that we so totally didn't have at the end. It was role-playing involved, so it's not a tangent. It's valid and relevant to the cleric.
And at least every few minutes, we brought it back to cleric somehow.
We did somehow. I'm great at this when I want to be. All right, I'm Kalvin.
Brandon, because I almost forgot my name.
Good job. Cringe. See y'all next time. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And now you get to listen to the outro song. And that's the outro song. Yeah.